Hello friends, TechManPat. Welcome to my TV room. You probably would have seen the review of this TCL, but that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking Sonos ecosystem because there's a couple of products that, when put together, create a very magnificent movie and gaming experience. So today we are talking about the Beam 2, or the Sonos Beam 2, which is an older product, but recently released the Sonos Mini Sub. This one right here, this bad boy, still quite large, and it is only the Mini, but this box is empty. I have the real one right in front of me. So today we are reviewing the Sonos Mini in conjunction with the Beam, because this $1,400 package is going to blow you away. Huge thanks to Sonos for sending me both for review. Make sure to like this video if you did, subscribe if you want to support us, and of course check the links below where you can get your very own Sonos Mini Sub and Beam 2. Let's get started by rolling the intro. So you may be wondering what I'm holding here, but let's keep it a secret because it has my name on it, Patrick. So the Mini Sub is obviously not cheap. It's $700 from JB's, Amazon, all sorts of places you can find in Australia. It's available all the time in black and white. And of course the Beam 2 is also $700, making this package, well, a $1,400 sound system. This is a wireless mini sub, and calling it mini sub is actually a little bit weird because it's large and it's heavy. It has a 6-inch woofer, 2 of them right inside this gap right here, and of course it has a very heavy amp inside to drive all these woofers, and it has nice rubber feet, and it is completely wireless or Ethernet. You've got the 2 options. Now wireless works really well with the Beam 2. So we probably need to talk about the Beam, and we're going to talk about the Mini Sub because this is probably the most exciting product and the most, I guess, newest addition to the lineup. But I think it's important to note that the Beam 2 standalone is actually still really good. So the Beam has a substantial amount of actual speakers, and of course it can do a lot. It is large, heavy, and it is not as big as most bar speakers, but what it lacks in size, it actually makes up in sound. It sounds very good. The highs, the mids, and actually the lows, to the point where when I tested the Mini Sub, I thought to myself, wait a minute, is this on? Because the sub was already really good. I was getting very good bass response from the subs that were already in there, and I was thinking to myself, how is this better?
Okay, some tech specs. The amplifiers are both Class D digital amplifiers. The response rate is as low as 25 Hz. The dual 6-inch woofers face inwards for a force cancelling effect, which is really interesting. It does reduce the vibration, and of course the rubber feet below do too. It comes with TruePlay, which allows you to fine-tune your entire Sonos system using your mobile device, an iOS device, and it has a full built-in EQ, and it is sealed cabinet, which does tend to neutralize distortion and enhance that bass response. It weighs around 6.3 kilograms, and it comes in at a height of 305 millimeters, that's 12 inches for you American people, and a diameter of 230 millimeters and 9.1 inches.
Now, of course, it couldn't really talk about just the Mini Sub. We do need to talk about the Beam 2, and it has been a staple of this TV room for a couple of weeks now, and I have to admit, it is very good. Now, out of the box, the bass response out of this is already good enough to not actually need this. And I have to point that out because this is a very good product. The Beam 2's highs, lows, and mids are fantastic, and the sound reproduction for a room is really good. Now, this one here is for medium to large rooms, but I would say if you have a medium room, this is actually going to give you the best experience for both movies and video games, especially if you've got a new PS5.
Let's look at the tech specs for the Beam 2. There are 5 Class D digital amplifiers that have been apparently tuned to the soundbar's unique acoustic architecture. There is one center tweeter that creates a very crisp and high high frequency response. There are also 4 mid-woofers, they're elliptical, and they do ensure very good playback of mid-range frequencies, and they do maximize the low-end output, but you won't need it if you have a mini sub. There are microphone arrays used for advanced beamforming and multi-channel echo cancellation for quick and accurate voice control, and there are some passive radiators, there's no fans, there's an adjustable EQ, and there's of course TruePlay support for iOS devices, and it is Dolby Atmos supported. There is also a little feature called speech enhancements via the Sonos app, and of course there is night mode, which is a setting that reduces the intensity of loud sounds and increases the level of quieter sounds. This has been particularly useful for me when my son is asleep.
With my experience of actually using this, I had to tweak a few settings because when I played this, the sub and the lows were really good already. But then I changed it to give the actual bass only to the sub mini here. And that's when things really changed. And one of the things that Sonos provided me is a little sheet that says, Patrick, let's start listening. On it asks me to put on 3 songs, Dolls by Bella Porch, I'll put the links below, Ghosts by Two Shell, and Cozy by Beyonce, and actually a 4th one, Giving Up by Tisha. Now, all those songs had very interesting responses from highs to lows and of course mids. Now the mids isn't what I was looking for in this case because I was testing out the mini sub, and the Beam 2 took care of all that and it sounded really good. Now I've got music playing in the background. I have muted it, unfortunately, due to regulations on YouTube. I really can't play songs that are copyrighted and things get taken down, there's strikes, and of course the microphone that's picking it up is not going to do it justice. All I can say is the Beam 2 is going to provide you enough movie and gaming experience that you might not actually need the mini sub. So when I did play these 4 songs, I realized the mini sub is doing something else completely. It is sitting in a different area of the room. The couch is over here, the TV is over here, and the sub mini is sitting just behind the couch. And it's providing an experience that you don't get when you only have a front firing speaker setup. The sound ambience coming from all around you when the subwoofer is near gives you a whole different experience to the same movies and the same games that you've been playing. What I did in the settings is turn down the sub response on this, or the low response, and turned it up a lot higher on this one and placed it on the ground behind the couch. And that's when my experience changed. And that's what I think, if people are looking for something that is going to go to the next level, this is worth getting for $700, but I still think it's expensive just for the experience of a subwoofer that's separate from the front. But the idea is that it's firing from a different location. It has got great response, and obviously the wireless works really well. When gaming, I didn't notice any latency, and of course the Beam 2 can also be wireless and Bluetooth. Currently it's hooked up via HDMI eARC, and with the TV it turns on automatically, and you can move the sound up and down with the remote without having to fiddle with anything else. This does not come with a remote, and that's okay because again, it's using eARC to communicate with the TV. The sub is connected wirelessly and it syncs flawlessly. And I have to admit, Sonos' ecosystem is incredibly impressive, and I have to give props. As far as ecosystems, I still think Apple's the highest, but right now in the sound ecosystem, I can tell you right now, Sonos is absolutely incredible. And of course you can get surround speakers that are also wireless to add to your setup, but that's adding on to the cost. In combination, the Sub Mini and the Beam 2 have a very symbiotic relationship. They do play off each other really well. And when bringing out music especially, the details become a lot clearer from the Beam because this is taking over a lot of the bass response and the lows. And to be honest, it really does show when you do enable the mini sub, when there is one unit dedicated to the mids and highs and the other to the bass. The response and clarity of the music, especially the tracks that are chosen here, I guess specifically chosen to show you that difference, but I obviously played my own songs. I played a lot of Tool and I played a lot of Disturbed, and I can definitely tell the difference when there is some hardcore bass being punched, especially with Tool, who uses the bass to actually start most songs and continue the beat along. The guitar is almost secondary in some instances. So overall, the Beam is increasing its range by letting this Sub Mini do a lot of the other bass work. And absolutely incredible feeling when you're obviously watching a music video and listening to that music right on a big screen in the dark, and you feel that punchy bass from behind the couch. And so my suggestion is when you place this, it's either left of the couch or right, the sides, or right behind it. My recommendation is behind it. It does a great job if you can get it placed there. So my recommendation is actually get the Beam 2. It's really good. It's incredible how much sound this can put out in its size, and it fits a medium to large room, and the room has to have a few walls to call it a room, I guess, but the more walls the better, because this has the ability to bounce sound off the walls to try and travel behind you. But the bass response is something doesn't travel like that across the walls. It doesn't travel far, and that's where the mini sub comes in. Now, all in all, I'm impressed with the quality, the ecosystem, the connectivity, and just the quality of sound. I have been enjoying the latest Batman on here, some of the latest episodes of the Grand Tour, which have been awesome. The sound of the cars, the engines, really blows me away when this Sub Mini has no wires sitting around hidden behind the couch, making not only the room vibrate a little bit, but also your body vibrate because it's so close to you rather than the sound coming from over there. It's like being at a concert or a disco and being right next to the big speakers. You can feel it, and this mini sub does pack a punch. So friends, thank you very much for watching this quick review, almost of 2 products in one. I try to pack in a lot. Make sure to like this video if you did, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and of course links below for where you can find this Sonos device and the Sonos Beam 2. And again, huge thanks to Sonos for sending me this. Actually, it was a surprise. I didn't even know they were sending it, so that's really cool. Big thanks to them. I am thoroughly enjoying the Sub Mini, and I highly recommend it if you've already got a Beam 2 and you think it's something lacking and you just want to turn up the notch on your movie and gaming experience. But the Beam 2 standalone is my recommendation for anyone on a budget, really, because $700, because sometimes a speaker in itself can cost nearly $300, $400, like a shelf speaker, and then connected to a main unit, it's going to blow out to $1,000. It's not actually badly priced. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you all in another one. Bye.